New Mexico's premier annual sports event begins its second decade as the can't-miss event of the holiday season. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl is great times, lasting memories, and unforgettable moments. It's your bowl game. Once again, Major College Football's postseason begins in Albuquerque with the 11th annual Gildan New Mexico Bowl, Saturday, December 17th at high noon in University Stadium. Don't miss out on the excitement. Make sure you're there. Get tickets at the UNM box office, call 925-5626, or visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com.
The Barley Brew, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Welcome to Rugby Saturday Southwest. Aaron Rivera here, joined by Carl Hawkins as always. And Carl, we're here to talk a little bit about the High Desert Classic right now.
Yeah, we had a very interesting weekend before last at the Bullhead Park, thanks to the city of Albuquerque, and our good friend Marty Watt ran his first High Desert Classic and did a really good job. I don't remember what the exact team count was, but it must have been at least 25 or 30 teams and 3 different brackets showed up.
Yeah, we had college, men's, all sorts of different games were out there. In fact, one of my favorite parts, we got to see women's, college, and club all in the same spot instead of just one college tournament, one women's tournament, something along those lines.
Yeah, the U.S. is blessed with great women's sports, and women's rugby is a really fantastic game. It's a really well-played game, and we've gotten an opportunity to watch the quarterfinals of the national championships and become familiar with some of these really great teams. To add to sort of our base of knowledge, we have our local clubs, of course, with the UNM women and the Atomic Sisters and
New Mexico State Chili's.
New Mexico State Chili's and others that will probably be mad at me because I don't remember all the names and stuff. But it was really good to see the women playing and on the beautiful pitches that we had on a beautiful sunny October day in New Mexico, which the high desert was really sweet.
Yeah, well, speaking, you mentioned the quarterfinals we got to watch last year. That's one of the teams we got to watch last year actually came to it. We had the Denver Black Ice as well as their sister club, as you might call it, the Melted Ice. The Melted Ice was the retired club that was associated with the Denver Black Ice, so sort of the girls who used to play for the team. And that was actually the first one that we got to watch was the Melted Ice taking on the New Mexico State Chili's. And so here we see it right there. They've got it Denver U, but those Melted Ice girls were pretty impressive on the pitch for being retired, I think when we were watching it, we felt kind of like New Mexico State was a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic, but those Melted Ice girls, they had that just awareness on the pitch.
I don't think you can really say they're retired. I think they're the more senior players and perhaps newer players, and I think every once in a while some of the Black Ice girls show up in those blue uniforms, and they so they are all skilled. They might not be quite as fast. They're not the first side. They're not competing for the national championship, but they play great rugby.
Yeah, and right as we're saying that they're not fast, we saw that highlight of her outrunning the New Mexico State girls on the wing. And New Mexico State actually played with a little conglomeration with Adams State so that they could field the full team. But following that one, we also got to see the Denver Black Ice, the team that plays in the actual club bracket, taking on the Atomic Sisters, the Albuquerque women's club.
And this was a great game. The Atomic Sisters are a good rugby team, and you know, they don't quite compete at the same level as Black Ice, but they gave them a good game. It was fun to watch. We had a good time watching that, and there's a lot of former Lobo rugby players on that
Atomic
Sisters
squad.
team, yeah, and it was fun. That scrum half there that's scoring this try, she was brilliant, and she was brilliant in Tucson at the quarterfinals for the national championship.
Yeah, that's Hill. She and that right there is Adewunmi, who, you know, her twin sister couldn't play this last weekend. I believe she had an injury going on, but you know, that whole Black Guys team was really impressive. And for the Atomic Sisters, you know, they did lose 35-0, but at the same time, you know, that's one of the best teams in the country that they got the opportunity to play against.
That's exactly right. It's great for them to get an opportunity to play against them. The Black Ice, that team is something else. I mean, not just their ability to play rugby, but the cohesiveness of it, the character of it, the camaraderie, the sort of special nature of the players. They're very enjoyable to be around and fun to watch play.
Absolutely, and at the club level, and well, because they had that huge game against UNM, and then the Melted Ice won 63-0 in theirs, they actually played against each other for the championship game. We had the Melted Ice on the Black Ice, and the Black Ice are the ones wearing the, well, black jerseys here. And that was an impressive game too, and we actually saw a couple of the Atomic Sisters come over and play for the Melted Ice too.
Yeah, they were having fun, and it wasn't as if they didn't know each other. You know, they rode down and together in the same vehicles and flew down together for the match. And the Black Ice showed, you know, why they're a contender.
Well, they're certainly one of the best clubs in the actual, you know, country, and it's pretty cool that we got to see them come down and play. You know, for next year, I'm sure we'd like to see a few more women's teams playing. You know, right there, we saw the Melted Ice's first try of that game, and there's that winger again. But, you know, it'd be great if we could see maybe UNM's women come play next time, a couple other clubs from the local areas around.
Yeah, that would be good. I saw UNM play last weekend. They had a match set up with Northern Arizona. And they don't fill out a full side. They're a little bit short and have a lot of inexperience. Ebb and flow of rugby. You know, this one of the things that we failed to mention in the opening is that this was the 45th annual High Desert Classic tournament, and it is the longest running rugby tournament in the United States right now, so it's something really to be proud of. And it's in a rebuilding process. I mean, we've had High Desert Classic tournaments with over 60 teams, 20 girls teams, 20 college teams, 20 men's teams, and we're a little bit short of that now. I think that as a result of the kind of tournament that was run this last time and the interest in the growing interest in rugby, I think it'll build back up. And you know, it's always a function of facilities and funding and things like that. So
absolutely. Well, there was a lot more great games played. Stick around. We're going to talk about some of the college games as well as the club games in just a moment. You're watching Rugby Saturday Southwest.
New Mexico's premier annual sports event begins its second decade as the can't-miss event of the holiday season. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl is great times, lasting memories, and unforgettable moments. It's your bowl game. Once again, Major College Football's postseason begins in Albuquerque with the 11th annual Gildan New Mexico Bowl, Saturday, December 17th at high noon in University Stadium. Don't miss out on the excitement. Make sure you're there. Get tickets at the UNM box office, call 925-5626, or visit GildanNewMexicoBowl.com.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
RC Sports Complex is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Do you have the need for speed? Come on out to RC Sports Complex for some adrenaline-packed race action. You can bring your own vehicle, rent a ready-to-race unit, or purchase one from the great selection that we have in store. RC Sports Complex offers an addictive, technical, and fast-paced outdoor course for 10th-scale electric buggies, cars, and trucks. Visit RC Sports Complex in Rio Rancho.
Christy Mae's Restaurant is locally owned and operated with a family-friendly atmosphere. Their array of homemade comfort food is just like your mom's. From homemade chicken pot pie to their famous chicken salad on a croissant, Christy Mae's even offers lunch catering. Christy Mae's Restaurant is located at 1400 San Pedro Drive, Northeast. They offer drive-in, carry-out, and catering. Open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of ProView Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Welcome back to Rugby Saturday Southwest. We're talking about the High Desert Classic of 2016, the 45th annual High Desert Classic, as you mentioned, Carl. And so we had some great college rugby played at the High Desert Classic. At least two of the games were actual conference games that had, weight in USA Rugby.
Yeah, we had probably the most significant game and one of the best games of the tournament was the game between OU and Texas Tech, and that's a Red River Rugby Conference game, and we got to watch that and call that game, and that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Oh, it was definitely an impressive game, and right now you see there the Texas Tech Raiders are in those white jerseys, OU in the classic striped jerseys. Ooh, he just got run over there.
He did get run over.
But it was crazy. We were just talking beforehand. There was 5 lead changes in that game.
It's the lead was being comfortably addressed by Texas Tech at the beginning of the game, was it not?
And it was a huge game for them because they were Texas Tech. While their record's not as good as OU, Texas Tech did beat Baylor in conference, and so right now, they're looking pretty good in those conference games.
Yeah, and these are qualifiers to see who gets to go on and play for the Collegiate National Championship. So they have to win their respective unions to get there. So these games really count. So it was fun to see that kind of a game in a tournament, which sometimes is a little less serious for the college teams. They like to go on road trips and get to play the games and that sort of thing. But this one had all the marbles. Everything was at stake here.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely an impressive game. You see the end score right there, 35-31 in favor of the Texas Tech Raiders. And Texas Tech actually gave up their home game so that we could watch it there in Albuquerque for the High Desert Classic tournament. And then following that one, a little bit later, we had University of New Mexico taking on Utah State University. And this was also a conference game, as Utah State came down to play the Lobos there for the Western Conference. And this one was not quite as close as the Texas Tech game.
It wasn't as much fun to watch this game. UNM kind of got worked over on it.
Yeah.
One thing that we might note is that last weekend, UNM has a really tough schedule set up. Coach Tom Goslow has got them playing a lot of the high-ranking teams to help build the program. They actually beat University of Colorado last weekend.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was a big one for him. That was his first conference win against a ranked team.
I believe that's one of the first conference wins they've had in a number of years, because I don't think we've been able to
Yeah,
beat.
that's Division I rugby win for the Lobos, so that's great.
And I think that was one of Goslow's goals. And about the Utah State group, we talked last year when we had University of Utah. Utah has a big rugby program.
Oh yeah,
on
their
the
high
state
school
level.
stuff is amazing, and the developmental stuff. And you know, BYU, Utah State, University of Utah, they're contenders up there all the time, and they have really good men's club teams. And you know, we saw Provo playing in the quarterfinals in Tucson for the National Club Championship. So it's good stuff. They got up there.
And it's a tough set of games to have to play against them. One of the absolute best, in fact, one of the furthest traveling teams as well was Long Beach State, and so we also got to see them taking on the Lobos during the High Desert Classic. Here it is right there. They're wearing stripes on stripes for this game. Long Beach had a pretty good tournament against just about everybody they played.
They're dressed like bumblebees out there, and
they definitely stung like bumblebees.
They indeed. They would have competed quite admirably in the men's bracket in this tournament. It's a great team. In fact, last weekend they beat one of the LA clubs. I was trying to get the name of it to let everyone know, but they beat one of the significant men's teams in Los Angeles last weekend, and they're having a great season. I look for them to go quite a way in the national championships.
Well, and they had that impressive play. They had Blackiston and Bodley, the number 9 and number 10, were just too tough to stop.
Were they fun to watch, or
they
what?
They were definitely an
watch.
impressive team.
They know what they're doing, and you know, they're just young guys, and they're making a name for themselves and getting the exposure that can get them into national teams and that kind of stuff. So it's good. Lots of good things happening in rugby in the United States.
Well, one last game. This was for all of the marbles. The championship game was played between OU and Long Beach State. And this one, Long Beach State did what they had to do, and right there was Bodley scoring. And he had, I think on the first day, just in that game we watched before, 9-10 attempts at post.
And there was your scrum half picking the ball up untouched out of their put in and trotting in for a try.
And we saw those little loop plays that they did a lot, and Long Beach State was able to run away with it. The final score in that one was 31-3 in favor of Long Beach, so not quite the blowout. And you know, they looked to be having a lot more fun out there in that last game. Both squads were playing it friendly, you know.
Yeah, they had a good time, and Long Beach State has an attitude similar to the attitude that I talked about earlier with the Black Ice. You know, they just love the game, and they're having a good time. They're fit, they're good athletes, they play smart rugby, and you know, when you can do that and you can get some momentum and you can be winning, it's just galvanizing. You know, everybody plays together, everybody gives what it takes in order to win championships like this. So High Desert Classic trophy to Long Beach State, and wonderful.
And it's actually their first one, the first time they've competed in the High Desert Classic. Also, they come home with their first trophy. So
That's right.
definitely an impressive set of games in the college bracket. We're going to talk about the men's bracket as well as some of the impressions we had of the tournament in just a moment. You're watching Rugby Saturday Southwest.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Before you go viral, make an appointment with Feedy Family Dentistry, now with 2 locations to serve you in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho.
Dr. George Stribble, the ultimate sports chiropractor, is a proud sponsor of ProView Sports. For 34 years, he has been the chiropractor for sports injuries, soft tissue, muscle fatigue, muscle sprains, neck and back injuries. Dr. Stribling specializes in a kinesio taping technique that is designed to facilitate the body's natural healing process while providing support and stability to muscles and joints without restricting the body's range of motion. Sports injuries are Dr. Stribling's specialty.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of ProView Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Welcome back to Rugby Saturday Southwest, talking High Desert Classic. And the last division that we haven't talked about so far is the clubs division, the men's club division. And we've had a lot of different teams. We had some from Colorado. We had the Queen City team. We had Denver Highlanders came down.
Yep, and we also had teams from
El Paso,
Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona. Who else did we have in this tournament? It was a full roster of teams from New Mexico. Everyone except for Santa Fe showed up. I'm not quite sure why Santa Fe didn't show up. They actually have won the High Desert at one point in time in the early days. But it was a full bracket, and it was very competitive play and very enjoyable. And you know, the men's club component is usually the highest level of rugby that you get at a tournament. Although we had collegiate and women's rugby played at a level that was very similar in terms of competitiveness. So that was it was very interesting. And I guess we have the final, which we're going to have a look at here. And the Albuquerque Aardvarks played the Denver Highlanders. I don't know how many times that they've competed for the championship of the High Desert. There's a bunch of them.
Well, they both, coming into this one, had 5 championships each. And it was definitely a tough game the whole time. Very physical, very rough. You know, unfortunately for some of the players, I know Cordial got roughed up a couple of times there.
He did, but he had a fantastic game. He played wonderful rugby. Yeah. It was really exciting. If you get a chance to watch the replay, it's almost embarrassing how excited we got about the play. It was something else. The Highlanders pulled out the championship at the end of the game, but the Aardvarks gave them a great run for it.
And we see here the score at 17-19. The ending score ended up being 17-24. There it is right there. And last year these two teams played. Had a little bit different ending to it. Glad that we could get the the full time and get an excellent game, because that was really fun to watch. You know, I already mentioned Cordial because he was my favorite part of the game. You know, just seeing him slide through, slip around. He seemed like he was so small that they couldn't find him the whole time, just running through the different people.
Well, he's quite an athlete, and he is somewhat diminutive, but he plays way larger than his size, and he's very fast and very elusive. And, you know, we gave him a nickname during that match, right? Houdini. Houdini.
There you see him. Yeah, it was definitely a fantastic set of it, and as we mentioned, the Highlanders walk away with their 6th High Desert Championship, which puts them in the lead now in the men's division.
Yeah, that's right. The Aardvarks owe them one now. Both teams were a little bit undermanned in that game. The Aardvarks were somewhat short ended on some of the back play, and it was the backs of the Highlanders that really sort of dominated that game. Aardvarks had to play a lot of defense, and it kind of wore on them and affected their offense in the long run. But it was a great game and a great result, and congratulations to the Denver Highlanders.
Yeah,
6 high deserts out of 45. That's not bad.
Definitely not. Plus, the big one, the 45th.
Yeah.
But so, Carl, tell me, what was your favorite part of this year's tournament?
I believe that the atmosphere of the tournament was so important. So much camaraderie and a lot of opportunities to visit with people that you knew and played with, against over the years. It's almost like a reunion, and so it was a lot of fun, and the weather was beautiful, and working with you was great. And that's the first time we've done the high desert, huh? And so we had a really good time. And what was nice about it is that it was probably the first high desert that I've ever been to that I didn't get beat up in, playing. I'd never gone and just watched a high desert. After my playing days, I moved away, and so it was the first time I came back and got to watch one without getting beat up in it. That was a lot of fun.
Well, they had the old boys match. I know up there, Delbert Arnold, who was working with us there, they were trying to convince him to play. But, I'm sure he didn't want to do that with his knees.
Delbert's the president of the Rio Grande Rugby Union, and he and I played against each other quite a bit. We had a lot of fun calling the games and reminiscing about some of the past stuff. Probably more fun than some of the listeners cared to listen to. But, that kind of stuff happens. We wanted to, another thing that we wanted to bring up here, we were talking earlier about what's going on in New Mexico right now. This place is on fire with sports, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's really glorious, and we got all this rugby stuff going on in the 45th High Desert Classic that we talked to you about, but we've also got this Lobo stuff happening, right? What is the football team now?
5 straight wins right now. They're in contention for Mountain West, and they're going to be playing in the bowls probably this year,
and that's
which
fantastic,
will be second in a row.
And they had to turn around their season to do that. They started off a little shaky, had some injuries and stuff, and now they're just cooking, and that's really, really cool.
Well, luckily they were able to survive through that rain the other weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I know I didn't survive through it. That was a little bit rough there, but also the soccer team's doing really well right now.
Yeah, Jeremy Fishbein is doing it again. He's got a load of talent on a fantastic soccer team, and they're in the Conference USA now, and they won the championship of Conference USA, and they're on Thursday night, which is tomorrow night, the 17th, they will be playing in the Lobo soccer field in the first round of the NCAA championships, and everybody needs to get out there and see that. Good grief. Jeremy's taken them to the Final Four and to the actual finals of the Division I men's soccer, and this is a fantastic record this man has produced with these soccer teams.
And we just had the state championships for soccer as well at the high school level, and right now in football they're wrapping it up. We had 1 or 2 championships already, and we're right now getting close to the high school football championships in 6-5A and all those, a couple of weekends away.
Yeah,
so definitely exciting time for sports here in Albuquerque right now.
Yeah, New Mexico sports are on fire, and I was at the pit night before last. I watched the Lobos, warming up, tearing up Houston Baptist down there, and they look like they're going to have a great season too. So it's a great place to live here. I moved back here from Athens, Georgia, where there were national championships, at least a couple, it seemed like, every year, not necessarily in football, as everybody knows. Alabama owns that.
Yeah.
But swimming, golf, tennis, all that stuff.
Not to mention
and now here we are.
Life University at the collegiate level.
Oh,
in rugby.
yeah. In Atlanta, Life is something else.
Well,
all right.
Fantastic stuff. Exciting time to be watching sports here in Albuquerque. That's going to do it for us here at Rugby Saturday Southwest. Aaron Vera, Carl Hawkins, thanks for joining us today as always. And folks, have a great rest of your day.